I've just come across a video of a witness testimony talking about seeing a bright orange orb right off the edge of an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean. But what's interesting about this, if that's not already interesting enough, this sounds almost identical to what we heard in the Immaculate Constellation document. This comes from Navy Seaman Patrick Goki, and he gives a first-hand account of what he saw on that night. And it sounds out of this world, and when I realized that it was almost identical to what we read in the Immaculate Constellation document, it really pricked my ears up. By the way, we're in the new studio. Welcome to Casa del Weird. We're not quite finished yet, but we're settling in. We've got a few more things to do. But when I saw this video, I thought the people need to know about it. So we're going to watch this witness testimony. Then we're going to read the little excerpt from the Immaculate Constellation document that sounds very similar. And then at the end, I've even got a little bonus clip of something else that looks just like it. By the way, welcome to Polarity. My name is Josh. If you're new here, please subscribe. We dig into the phenomenon every single day. And if you're not new, welcome back. You're going to enjoy this one.
So the first thing I remember was standing on starboard forward watch. That's basically we're looking out for any boats or planes, anything that we can tell the rest of the crew about that we got to look out for. So it was very important to call out everything that we see. Even if you think it doesn't make a difference, it's just something floating in the water, you still call it out because you don't know what it is. So first, I was it almost felt like the sun was rising a little bit. I just saw this bright orange ball. It was wavy, but somehow still solid, like a plasma almost. And it just appeared over the flight deck, maybe 200 feet off the flight deck. It sat there for about 30 seconds. I remember calling it in. I don't know what my exact wording was. Everybody on the bridge would have been able to see it. But it was this floating orange ball, and it sat there for 30 seconds. It didn't seem to move, but we were moving during flight ups, and it seemed to stay with us, but without any movement that you could discern. After that, it just did 3 half circles, just 1, 2, 3, and it was gone. I mean, just in the blink of an eye, it was gone.
A lot of interesting details in there already, and there's more to come. But first, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Nimitz Encounter YouTube channel, which is where I found this interview. Now, obviously, that channel is named after the Nimitz Encounter, which Commander Fravor is famous for, because that was the aircraft carrier that he was working from. However, this did not happen on the USS Nimitz. This occurred on the USS Ronald Reagan. And again, this had multiple witnesses, and I believe there are other witnesses on the channel. So if you are interested in finding out more about this encounter, make sure you head over there. I'll make sure I drop a link below. Now, Patrick's about to give us more details on what this thing looked like and how it moved. But first, let's take a look at what was written in the Immaculate Constellation document, which was allegedly authored by Matthew Brown and went public in November 2024. So this is from page 9 of the Immaculate Constellation document, underneath examples of defense human intelligence reports on UAP. Close encounter by CVN flight deck personnel. Now, if you don't know, CVN means a nuclear aircraft carrier. I'm going to guess maybe it's like carrier vehicle nuclear or something like that. That's what it means. What it actually stands for is not too important. But here we go. While on active duty in the Pacific, flight deck personnel working night duty experienced a close encounter with a spherical UAP of medium to large size. On-duty flight deck crew observed a small orange-red sphere maneuvering at high altitude above the nuclear aircraft carrier. Shortly after the first observation, the UAP rapidly descended from high altitude to a position directly above the flight deck of the carrier, approximately 100 to 200 yards. The UAP maintained altitude and matched speed with the underway carrier for an uncertain period. Observing personnel reported altered perceptions of time during the close encounter. The UAPs appeared to emit a soft orange-red light which, bizarrely, did not illuminate the ocean or the flight deck of the carrier, despite the visual appearance of intense luminosity. Intense luminosity that doesn't actually seem to illuminate its environment is a key recurring fact that we hear over and over in all of these weird orb and plasma ball sightings. This next bit's my favorite. The surface of the UAP was observed to be dynamic, roiling like the surface of the sun. The UAP took no reported actions during the encounter, only maintaining a close-in proximity to the aircraft carrier. After an uncertain period, the UAP suddenly shot into the air, disappearing at a point high above the carrier. Observing personnel felt as if they had snapped out of a trance and sensed a profound unease. The incident report concludes with noting that the carrier had not responded in any way to what was perceived as a hostile interception by the UAP. Now, in the Immaculate Constellation document, it doesn't specifically state which aircraft carrier this is, but medium-sized orange orb, 100 to 200 yards away from the flight deck, but moving with and maintaining speed with the aircraft carrier, surface roiling like the surface of the sun. We're going to come back to that. Think about all these details, and let's continue listening to Patrick.
When you first saw it, you said it sort of appeared. Was it because you kind of became aware of its presence, or did you actually see it arrive?
I didn't see it arrive. I would have if it was going if it was going slower, or even like how a plane would fly by. You can kind of see them and you see the glide and stuff. This was not like that. It was like it was not there, and then it was just there. I don't remember the instant that it appeared. I just remember I saw it.
And when you were on starboard forward looking at it, do you remember if you were you looking up from that position? And is there any sense of scale of how big this was?
I don't know. I was looking up a little bit. Starboard forward is pretty high up there, so I didn't have to look up too high. It was, I'm not looking straight up at noon at the sky, but I did have to look up a little bit.
Obviously, a light in the skies, it could be, very close and small or far away and big. It's hard to say. I don't know if you had any sense of perspective or how big this thing was.
It seemed big, but I because of it was just on the background of the ocean and the sky, I couldn't really provide more context for it. But it was a much bigger aircraft or object that I've seen in the sky close up at any point.
One of the investigative techniques that we used to do as field investigators would say, well, if you held a quarter up in front of you at arm's length, was it that big, or was it the size of a baseball, or how would you say, like, if you held your hand out in front of you, how big to your eyes was it?
Sure. I mean, somewhere between a baseball and a softball.
Dude, that's big. And he said a softball. That's even bigger. So that is huge. And again, to connect the dots, the Immaculate Constellation document said 100 to 200 feet, which is roughly 30 to 60 meters. And when we look at the USS Ronald Reagan, Patrick is saying that he was on the starboard forward. It means he's on the right-hand side of the ship looking forward, which obviously when we look at it, we can see here that he's obviously in this little kind of control tower, this lookout deck, which is quite high. And Patrick says that he didn't really need to lift his head too much, like it was just kind of there. That's probably about 30 to 60 meters or 100 or 200 feet. And he says that it didn't fly off, or he didn't even notice it arrive. It was just kind of there. It just appeared. They're there and then they're not. They phase into reality and they phase out. Sounds a little interdimensional to me. But this wasn't the only time that Patrick saw this thing.
Reported it. Other people had reported it. Maybe half hour, an hour later, I rotated watch stations and I was on the fantail by myself. And the same thing, it came back by us on the fantail and it hovered, maybe 100 or 200 feet in the air in the same, maybe the same distance behind it. Did 3 half circles and it took off. And that was the 2 times that I saw it. So then we rotated watch again and I was on the bridge. I don't remember if I was the helmsman or lee helmsman or messenger of the watch. It would have been those 3 watch stations stand right next to the bosun mate of the watch, where a lot of the action happens up there with our department. And I remember an officer, this was towards the end of our watch, when the news had kind of spread about what everybody was seeing and people were kind of weirded out. And I remember one of the officers on the deck ordering someone to take the pages out of the deck logbook, which for me was the most surprising thing, because I was always told in the Navy that whatever you write in that logbook is a legal record and you can't, destroy it, rip it out, anything like that. So that was actually the most surprising thing to me. Even more so than seeing this object.
Now, I found that part super interesting, because he's saying that what you write in that logbook is like a legal entry. You do not take that out. That's completely against military protocol. And that's exactly the kind of things Matthew Brown was saying. Remember, the author of the Immaculate Constellation document, he said that when he was exposed to this stuff, he went through the normal protocol that you do when you're exposed to things that you're not really meant to see, and he went to try and report it. But no one wanted to listen to him. In fact, the people he was reporting it to basically told him not to worry about it. and just get on with your day. Completely against the regular protocol. Now, I said earlier, we're going to come back to the roiling like the surface of the sun part. Let's take a listen to how Patrick describes what this thing looked like, because it's eerily similar. And then, like I said, afterwards, we've got another video that we're going to compare it to, because we have seen this before.
When you were first observing it, you said that it was an orange color, almost like a plasma. So describe the surface. Did you see detail on the surface, or what did that look like?
It looked like the sun was just close up to me, but without the, you know, all the brightness surrounding it. It was the object that I can see on your screen, on your monitor right there, is what it looks like to me. Okay. It was just like a ball of plasma. I remember it being wavy, like there was movement to it, but I don't remember it actually moving.
Now, just to be clear, I have no evidence to suggest that this is the same case as the one that Matthew Brown wrote about in the Immaculate Constellation document. But a couple of 100 feet off the aircraft carrier, orange orb, medium size, roiling like the surface of the sun, it sure sounds like it. And like I said, we've seen this before. So we're going to take a look at the little 3D rendering that we just saw there, and we're going to play it alongside a clip that actually featured on this channel a long time ago, almost in the origins, the very first episode of Weird Week.
What the fuck? Oh my god! What the fuck? Tata!
Oh.
Tata! Tara, snimaj! Moram još telefon.
Gdje sad, gdje?
Eno ga. What the fuck, nestalo?
Nestalo?
Eno ga, eto.
Ne. Šta se dešava?
What the fuck? Oh my god!
Nema ga.
Ali vidi se ovako.
Kako je brz?
What the fuck? Stavi na internet, tata. Majke ti. Otišlo, tata. Vidi koliko brzo. Tata.
Kako nisam brže vidio?
Otišlo, nema ga, gotovo.
Ja ti kažem da nesi kameru, ti spraviš pametan.
Pa donao sam.
Okay. It was just like a ball of plasma. I remember it being wavy, like there was movement to it, but I don't remember it actually moving.
Now, that wasn't shot off of an aircraft carrier, but my god, that kid can swear like a sailor. Such an interesting video. Roiling like the surface of the sun, I couldn't think of a better way to explain that. And when we played that side by side with the 3D rendering, which Patrick said is a pretty good representation of what he saw that night, what we see in the UAP video is not quite circular. It's a very similar shape. It's not far off, but the texture, the color, the glow, it is like spot on. It's crazy. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this one. Is the witness testimony from Patrick Goki the same incident as what Matthew Brown wrote about in the Immaculate Constellation document? In my opinion, I think there's a pretty good chance it is. And there may even be something or someone out there that has already confirmed that it is so, but I just came across this. It instantly ticked in my mind that these things are almost identical, and I just felt like I had to show you guys. So let me know what you think. I appreciate you all being patient while I haven't put up a video for a few days. We've just had a lot going on. We're trying to move into the new studio, but we're here. We got the first video out. It feels a little bit weird in here. Like it's not my normal creative space, but we'll get there. We'll adapt, and it's coming along really nicely. I'm really happy with it. So thank you guys for being patient. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, the likes, the shares, the comments, the members. I love you guys the most. And if you have made it this far and you're not subscribed, make sure you do, because we've got a lot more exciting content coming very soon. So be good to each other, guys. Be kind, get outside every day, touch some grass, and I will see you next time.